this is my own arrangement of these ideas based on A Course in Miracles. First of all, with the Course, we need to understand what perception is, that it's based on a set of things that we believe, ideas that we took into our mind. Doesn't mean they're true, but that we believed them. And we assemble these beliefs together into an outlook upon life. And it varies by culture, by nation, by eras. If there's a religious system, all of that produces a great deal of variety in perception because there's a variety of beliefs. Then we learn in the Course that these perceptions, these perceptual systems, are based on either a true or false foundation. No one told me this when I was being educated, that the values and beliefs that were being taught could be based upon a false foundation, could be based upon beliefs that I'm guilty, that I am lacking in love, that I'm separate and isolated, that based upon a belief that there is no creator, that it's up to me to decide what I am. So it's a recognition that there are both false perceptual systems and a true perceptual system. The true perceptual system does not receive a lot of press in our world up till now, whereas the false perceptual systems are, there's plenty of information about that, plenty of teachings about that. Then we learn that there are laws of perception, there are rules that govern how the mind takes things in, decides whether or not you find it acceptable, stores it away as a belief, then that those beliefs remain until we decide to change our mind. These are laws of perception. And these laws apply everywhere in time and space, not in eternity, but apply everywhere in time and space. And broadly speaking, these first 3 points are the purposes of these sessions, is to help you learn these facts about perception, learn these principles. That I believe that is fairly mechanical, that you can study the laws, learn them, and you got them. But knowing it in your mind is not enough. Then we have to go on to the next layer. And this is where the real spiritual work of A Course in Miracles takes place. This is where we want you to be working. First of all, we learn that for true perception, there is a source that teaches true perception, and that's the Holy Spirit, and that is an interior guide, an illuminated interior guide that seeks to gently suggest to you the better way, and that you can choose to be open to that guidance, to seek for it, to ask for it. That would make a world of difference. This becomes a practice which continues to a broader set of practices. Think here the workbook lessons that now begin to train your mind from moving away from your knee-jerk past conditioning of beliefs and old messages, to no longer react to every situations according to that past, and instead look towards the Holy Spirit in the present moment for guidance. It's an undoing of old and false perceptions and a learning of the true perception system. This this occurs for most people over years. This is not something you pick up in a weekend seminar. You can learn what it is, but the practice of training your mind, look how many years you had of training under false perception. So shifting out of that, learning to undo that and acquire true perception is a process. And then, having trained the mind, there becomes a period of applying it to your everyday experiences, so that when some person, action or behavior occurs that once used to trigger an emotional gut reaction in you, you no longer give that power, but instead you see it through innocent eyes that are forgiving and understanding, and are able to react to it now in a way that is helpful and healing for all concerned. These 3 points, and I'm summarizing at a high level, this is where the real transformational work, if I can use that word, work, occurs within the course. And it results in a third phase, which is, we'll call it more advanced. If the 3 that we just mentioned are intermediate, the third phase could be considered advanced. And that results in the following things. The mind is no longer a prisoner of false perception. It's no longer conditioned by ego reactions, and it becomes free. So that in every situation, Kim referred to this is being used for my good. In every situation, we view it as an opportunity to be healed and to be helpful. So we become free in the mind rather than bound to the past. And then there's also, we're really moving up the ladder here now. There's ultimately a state talked about in the course, which would be labeled as the perfection of true perception. This would be more a state where you don't fall back into old patterns and get caught and triggered again, but more and more the mind becomes so skilled in recognizing those temptations of the ego that you just immediately turn towards spirit. As a result of perfection of true perception, one enters into that lovely state called grace, which is where innocence and light shine through to everyone. And that prepares us for the end of perception. Remember, we're talking about stages of perception here. Grace is the closing chapter that leads to the end of perception, that leads to where the Father takes the last step and transitions us out of perception altogether into a state of knowledge. These last 3 are not something you study, not something you learn. They're experiences. You experience them when you're ready. So we're not as much concerned in discussing all that, because the real learning is in the intermediate stage, learning to hear the voice for God, training the mind, learning true perception, and applying the laws of perception. That's where the attention of this course primarily is devoted to, but we recognize that it's couched in a bigger framework. Before I go on, that's all I have to say about that. Is there any comments or questions that we have on that? More and more, I want to spend some time doing things like this where we piece together things that are said throughout the entire Course in Miracles to give you a composite view around a single topic.
I want to just say thank you for that 9-step chart on perception and the process. It's sort of like Cliff's Notes through enlightenment, through the Course in Miracles. I love it, through perception to knowledge. So very helpful to me as a guide and outline. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback too, David, because that affirms my sense that I want to include more of those Cliff Note versions.